This is the Meaning Business Podcast, your go-to source for business tips, advice, growth, and exit strategies, hosted by Bruce Kudry and Peter Spinder. Each episode, we bring you real stories, expert insights, and practical advice to help you succeed in today's market. Let's dive in.
Have you ever had a dining experience at a Michelin star restaurant, Bruce?
I have.
You
I was
have.
talking to somebody about it yesterday because it was in Paris.
Ooh, okay. Did it meet your expectations?
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it today. It was probably 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And yes, we still talk about it. It was amazing.
Wow, I love it. Okay, so the word amazing. So when I think about Michelin star restaurant and I haven't had the opportunity yet to eat at one, I'm thinking amazing. I'm thinking innovative. I'm thinking perfection. Absolute perfection, hey? So to kickstart today's video and kickstart today's podcast, we're going to play a video first. Now, those of you listening to us on the podcast, we'll include the link to this down below. It's out of a Disney series called The Bear. Fantastic show. I personally love it. There's so many lessons in it. But there's one particular scene that we want to talk about today and the focus of our video and conversation. So we're going to play it and then we'll come back to this.
That wasn't clean.
I've been doing this for 9 hours. I think I know what's clean.
I'm telling you that's not clean. That was not clean either. Please do them properly.
Yo, they're goddamn forks.
Outside. Do you think this is below you or something?
Man, I think I'm 45 years old polishing forks.
No one is asking you to be here. I don't think anybody remembers your name.
Nice try. You think I don't know how hard it is hiring people since COVID?
We don't have that problem.
You really drink this Kool-Aid, huh?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Because I love this, Richie. I love this so much, dude. Did you know that when this restaurant opened 12 years ago, it won the best restaurant in the world the same year? It's retained 3 stars because we have a waiting list that's long. 5,000 people waiting at any given moment long. Do you see their faces when they walk in here? How stoked they are to see us and how stoked we have to be to serve them? It takes 200 people to keep this place in orbit, and at any given moment, one of those people that is waiting in line gets to eat here. They get to spend their time and their money here. I'm sorry, bro, but we need to have some forks without streaks in them. Every day here is the freaking Super Bowl. You don't have to drink the Kool-Aid, Richie. I just need you to respect me. I need you to respect the staff, I need you to respect the diners, and I need you to respect yourself.
I can do respect.
Lovely, I'll see you inside.
We got there. We got there with the pause. Stop.
We're going to watch the whole episode.
It is a really good series. Definitely go and watch it if you haven't seen it. That doesn't give away anything, so don't worry. We haven't,
No.
magically given
No
away.
spoiler alerts. In fact, that's season 2, right?
Absolutely.
And the last episode, season 1, is a real beauty.
Absolutely. Now, if you're going to watch season 1, episode 1, get ready to go and do yoga afterwards because it will wind you up. Now,
Anyway, yeah.
let's play a little thing. What I want everyone to do right now is imagine that you're going to go to a Michelin star restaurant. You're excited, you get ready, and you're going to dress up and all of that sort of stuff. Now, imagine that you got to that restaurant, and imagine that you sit down and you order your food and whatever it might be, and you look down and there's a fork there that's dirty. It might have streaks on it, but it might actually have some food or something on it and it's dirty. Call the waiter over or waitress and say, I've got a dirty fork. Well, embarrassed, they go off and they bring back a clean fork and they put it down in front of you. Okay? Now, imagine in that same scenario, one of 3 things happening. You eat your food and at the end you think, wow, that food was fantastic. It was great food. Imagine now if you eat your food and you think, that didn't really meet my expectations. It was really underwhelming. Or imagine if you eat your food and you think, that was amazing. How innovative was that experience? Now, imagining these 3 different scenarios, what memories would you have with each one of these scenarios? What value would you place on the food in the restaurant? And most importantly, when you get home and your friends ask you, your family asks you, Bruce, how was it? Tell me about the restaurant. Knowing that it started with a dirty fork, what are you going to say? Now, I can pretty much bet, I'd bet on this, that most people would probably say, yeah, the food was amazing. If it was amazing, if it was poor, they'd say, man, it really wasn't as, it was quite underwhelming. And if it was innovative, they might go, oh, wow, what an experience. But I can pretty much guarantee you, everyone would also say, you know what, though? I had to send a fork back right at the beginning. Can you imagine a Michelin star restaurant and we got dirty forks?
Yeah.
So the message here, and this is part of what we want to talk about today, is that when we're looking at building a valuable business is one that can be looked upon as an asset, that like that restaurant in the scene, it's got a waiting list of customers, it's successful.
Yeah.
When we're looking at building the valuable business, it's not all about the innovative big things that we're doing. It actually boils down to having forks without streaks on them. It boils down to doing the average, ordinary, mundane things really well and taking ownership and respecting the mundane things, because it's the mundane, the day-to-day, that adds up to the true experience. Yeah. Yes, you can wow people with things. You might have sales reps going out there with amazing sales spiels, and you might have an amazing marketing campaign that, customers buy into, and then they come and deal with your business and they have a really poor experience along the way. All of a sudden, what have you done? Devalued your brand.
Nothing else matters, does it?
Nothing else matters, that's it.
And in a restaurant, just to bring it back to that analogy, there's so many moving parts. The service, the way the waiter is presented, like you said, the plates and the forks.
Absolutely.
The toilets, the floor, the table.
Absolutely.
The smell.
So value is everywhere in it, for example, in a hospitality business or in a restaurant. And so the word value, if you want to be truly successful, pretty much in any business, but if we focus on the restaurant, actually has to be ingrained in the mindset of every single person on your team. Because just like we saw in that episode, you might have the manager, floor manager, that's excited and he's enthusiastic in that case, and he really has drunk the Kool-Aid. He buys the brand.
Yeah.
He gets the vision. But there's one person on the team that drops the ball, and that one person could actually lead to one-star review, could actually lead to the unraveling.
That's the thing. There's so many moving parts. So one person drops the ball, and everything else is almost forgotten about.
Absolutely.
The other thing is, though, which I didn't pick up the first time, when the guy who's drunk the Kool-Aid, the guy who's really understands how important every detail is, he uses the word respect. Pardon me. And he says you've got to respect the customers, respect the process, respect yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's a big part of it. If you have that high standard and you have that respect for yourself and everybody else, you won't let the team down. You won't let yourself down.
Absolutely. And then you focus on actually delivering excellence at any point in time, whatever you might do, whatever industry that it might be in. And this is the difficult thing for a lot of people, because quite often, and you and I, we've worked with a lot of business owners over the years, but we've seen this time and again where people want the quick win. They want the quickest route to success. They want the quickest. They want it now. They don't want to work hard enough. They don't want to work on the mundane because, well, it's boring to do that. They'd rather focus on the pretty butterflies, as I call them, which might be, I don't know, let's implement AI technology, or let's buy a new piece of machine, or let's hire someone new, without actually focusing on, well, let's do what we're doing actually really well and not just try and bring new things in just to almost act as detractors, distractors. Because ultimately, when the time comes to exit and you put your business on the market or want to put it on the market, you will face reality, and your business broker will actually say, well, Bruce, you're aiming for $1 million for a sale price, but look, based on what I'm seeing, it's only worth $300,000. You might go, what? What do you mean? It's only worth $300,000. Well, this, and this.
Yeah. You know what? You've just reminded me of something, how value, right? So there's a brand of croissants and pastries that's really booming around Australia called Loon. Have you heard of Loon?
Oh, Loon is fantastic. Yes. Last time we were in Melbourne, made the trip out to wherever, because it's
Brunswick?
Yeah, Brunswick.
Yeah.
My God, how good are they?
You know there's Loon in Brisbane and Sydney now?
Really?
And they're going to move their head office to Sydney. But Loon started with a lady who was a Formula One engineer.
Right.
Who... and in Formula One, their standards, the details, the clean forks, everywhere. Everything has to be perfect. And she transposed, in my opinion, that to Loon. because it's a croissant or it's a pastry.
Yeah.
Everyone, anywhere makes those things. And the coffee is just like coffee anywhere else.
Yeah.
The detail is what's the difference. You go into that place, it's pristine. There's a glass wall, and on the other side of the glass wall, there's people like a operating theatre
them.
with this beautiful light, and I guess where the name comes from, rolling pastries and putting them into ovens, and they're coming out. It's the attention to detail and the fantastic routine and systems they have there. You watch those people working, which you can see behind that glass wall. It's like a Swiss watch. It's perfection. Everybody knows their role. Everyone's doing it absolutely just like Formula One team.
And guess what happened in Loon's case? They can charge pretty much whatever they want.
Yes,
because
people lining up.
That's it. People will line up. And so all of a sudden, they're not competing with anyone else because there's nothing else like Loon. Are there croissants out there? Absolutely. But they're not Loon croissants. So that's the big difference, isn't it?
Exactly.
So, taking ownership and having respect for yourself and respect for your business.
And the process.
And getting your team on board is so valuable.
By the way, this is making me feel guilty. I need to have a think about it.
I thought you were going to say it's making you hungry because it's making me hungry. I want to learn and we're doing a plug for them.
Wouldn't mind a coffee.
Hey, I'll ask you a question, Bruce. Are you a mountain biker?
Used to be, not now.
Used to be. When was the last time you rode a mountain bike?
Well, I just sold an old mountain bike, so it was within the last 3 months.
Okay.
Just rode up and down my street, by the way.
Okay, fair enough. But okay, when we talk mountain biking, getting out of the hills and doing
years ago.
Single track and that sort of thing. Now, if I said to you, okay, I'm going to give you 2 bikes. I'm going to give you a bike worth $10,000 and a bike worth $1,000. Do you think the either one of those bikes would be more superior in terms of your ability to ride, in terms of the outcomes of the ride?
Yeah, so obviously I would expect the dearer one to look better and be nicer, but I don't think it would make any difference to my performance because of my level of riding.
It's an interesting thing. So I've got proof that it doesn't actually make an impact until you get to a certain level. I remember quite a few years ago, I was in a 24-hour mountain bike competition, and there was this older guy in his 60s, and he was riding what's called just a hardtail. And a hardtail has got no suspension. Not only that, but the dude was riding a hardtail mountain bike without any gears on it. So it just had single gear. And I was racing with another guy, and I said, listen, check out that guy. What's he doing? He's like, just so you know, that guy is this champion mountain biker. He's so good that the only way he can challenge himself is by riding the hardtail without the gears, because that's the level. And it was a shitty bike. It wasn't a $10,000 bike. It wasn't a $5,000 dual suspension. It was a shitty bike. So it goes back to this whole thing where in business, it's not about all the fancy things, because the fancy things, unless you know how to use them, unless you've grown into those tools, they're kind of pointless. They're just distractions. And it goes back to having solid fundamentals and solid foundations. Just like in mountain biking, you want to ride a $10,000 mountain bike and actually get benefit out of it, start riding a cheaper bike, learn how to ride properly, learn the techniques, then get fit. And then as you evolve, you can invest the money. So then you're not wasting your money up front. You're not, over exaggerating your skills because you've got an expensive bike.
This takes me to one of the, and it's a bit of a long subject here, one of my favourite things I'm learning and observing, which is that many business owners use 2 tools to overcome inefficiency or poor performance. 1, marketing, and 2, overstaffing. So if they're thinking that we're not meeting our targets, this marketing must be the answer.
Absolutely. Get increased revenue. What are we going to do? Marketing.
All the clients that you advise, I bet you we just need marketing, and that's what a lot of other advisors are telling their customers, you just need a digital marketing.
Yeah.
No. And the other thing is throw more staff at it. So a lot of businesses that I see that aren't performing well, they've been throwing money at either marketing or having too many staff, which is creating inefficiency and people standing around with nothing to do. So that's not the answer, right?
No, it's not.
The beat details, the clean forks, the routine, the fundamentals, that's where it starts. Get that right, and then you can work on the marketing.
Absolutely.
Then you can work on the more staff and the growth.
And all of that then, if we sort of investigate and go deeper and deeper and deeper, you can see that from a staffing point of view, it actually stems from the way we recruit staff, what we communicate, how we communicate our values. And if we don't communicate that and we start having mismatches, all of a sudden you'll have issues where staff aren't performing. Why aren't they performing? They're not following the systems and processes. Why aren't they following it? Because they don't care. Why don't they care? Well, because they're not bought into the business and you don't have the same values. So, yeah, we can go so deep with it. But the point is that if you want to build a valuable business, forget the fancy schmancy stuff. Forget throwing money at all these different activities. Do the fundamentals really well. That's where you should focus. And once you've got the fundamentals down pat, and you'll know it because all of a sudden as a business owner, you've got more free time and the business is humming, you're getting more and more positive reviews, everyone's happy. Then you can look at it and go, okay, where do I need to make my next investment? How do I now move forward? Then you can talk about things like, okay, let's bring AI into it. Let's buy a new piece of machinery. Let's, but you're doing it for the right reasons as opposed to for the reason of, well, my head's in the sand, I'm looking for a quick win and I'm just going to throw money at marketing.
Yeah.
That's not the solution.
No. So I want to talk about a couple of things here. And we haven't discussed this, so you don't want to know. Number one point is, get the fundamentals right. Number two is marketing is not always the answer. And here's a third thing. Got something else, but things go in waves, right? So you're just talking about, you get that once you've got the fundamentals right and the business is cruising, then you can go to the next level. But things go in waves. So you get on top of things and business is traveling nicely, but then something grow and you get bigger again. Or to grow, you need more people to manage that. And could be a step back and you get the wrong people on board or whatever, or you lose a customer. So it's not just a linear thing.
Never
going up and down. So you're constantly doing that adjustment. But it really, even then, it still comes back to the fundamentals, getting the basics right and making sure the forks are clean and,
Absolutely.
Customer service is perfect.
Absolutely. And as we grow, it just means we've got more forks to clean. And so if you look at that video and go, okay, well, forks need to be cleaned, you can either put on more people to wash them by hand, or you can, invest in the technology to assist with that, with the human overseeing it and, looking after the streaks, getting the streaks out of the forks.
So just making sure it's right.
Yeah. But you're 100% right. And in fact, one of the future videos and podcasts we're going to be recording is going to be talking about this whole up and down. And the reality in business is that you can't get into cruise mode and stay in cruise mode. Cruise mode just does not exist. Yes, you can do it for a short period of time, but guess what? Your competition and the market environment is not ever cruising. They're always changing. Yeah. Competition's at your heels, biting, snapping.
Yeah. You've got more than one competitor. So one might come at you and you've got to raise the bar, and then they might die off, and then another one comes. So it's not
keep
just
raising
one.
it. That's it.
Yeah, they're coming from all angles.
That's it. And the competition doesn't necessarily mean competition in the sense that, a competitive play. It could actually mean competition in the form of new technology. Or
exchange rate.
Or exchange rate. That's right.
Yeah.
All of that shuffling.
Interest rates, there's many of them.
This is why the fundamentals is so important, because if you've got the right fundamentals, you've got a better moat, you've got a stronger moat around your business. And so COVID, for example, a lot of businesses shut. Now, one of the reasons a lot of businesses failed is because they actually had poor fundamentals in place. And so they weren't ready, they weren't prepared for what was coming. And by having poor fundamentals, a lot of businesses, their cash flow dried up. There wasn't enough forecasting. There wasn't enough of a buffer. There wasn't. They just didn't have the mechanisms in place to evolve quick enough.
No, that's right. But the other thing about fundamentals, just back to that wave thing I was talking about, is that you could have a business in the 1930s. Let's say it's an accounting practice, and their fundamentals were flawless. Everything's perfect. You can't use that same processes today.
No,
because things have changed. Innovation, computing, it's just a different world.
Nokia.
Yeah,
Kodak.
That's right. So not only do you need to have a focus on making sure the fundamentals are right and the detail is perfect, but you need to be prepared to change the way you clean the forks.
Absolutely.
To enable growth and to keep up with technology and the future.
Absolutely. And that's that innovative component. So if we look at the Michelin star restaurant and go back there, if I was to go back to a Michelin star restaurant 12 months after my first visit, I would not want to eat the same food. And I would be expecting more innovation out of it. I'd be expecting something more. That's because of the model, because of what I'm expecting from that sort of
You're a
restaurant.
harsh taskmaster.
I am
I'd
a
go
harsh
back to the exact same thing. It was delicious last time.
I wouldn't. I'd want something different. I want to see innovation. You know, if I go to Three Fat Ducks, Heston Blumenthal's restaurant, like I want a different experience each time, you know. And it's a hard thing for the restaurant to step up to and to deliver. But it's like in sports, you know, you take a 100-meter sprinter today. What's the expectation on them? So if you set a record today, the expectation is tomorrow you can not only set it,
better.
you must do better.
You must do better, yeah.
You must do better.
So can I get you to read two things here? Do you want to just read that?
Want me to read this out loud?
That heading?
Socrates advises us to make excellence our daily habit.
All right, now just slide to the next one, the other way, that one. Yeah, and what's the little bold bit?
We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is a habit.
So Socrates, 2,000 years ago
Yeah.
or more, was saying these things that are still relevant today, you know.
Absolutely.
But it's our habits. He says what we repeat. We are what we repeatedly do. So your routines determine your level of perfection.
That's right.
You're going to have good routines.
So the mundane can be turned into a habit, and therefore it doesn't become mundane. It's just what we do around here.
Yeah.
How we operate, the quality, the excellence, the service.
Yeah.
That's just what we do around here. Why?
Yeah.
Because that's ingrained. That's part of our culture, part of the DNA of this organisation.
So thinking about that, you run a Michelin star restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
You make sure the forks are clean, the floors are clean, the toilets are spotless, the staff are perfect, the menu keeps changing, everything's good. But I think the other element is you've got to also be so transfixed and paranoid about every element that you're figuring out every day a better way to clean the forks, a better way to make that cleaner, a better way to make the place smell great, a better way, you know, all facets.
And all the while you do that, you've also got to focus on price increases. Electricity is going to go up. My rent is going to go up in 2 years' time.
A lot of moving parts.
Cost of goods are going up. And so you're balancing and juggling all of these different elements. And that's why it can be so tempting for business owners to veer off course, veer off the fundamentals because of all the different pressures and the different elements.
Yeah.
So it's more and more, especially in today's world where we look at the number of restaurants shutting. Just yesterday or the day before, there was a well-known brewery that was doing so well, and now they've collapsed, and they've 200 staff lost their jobs, $100 and something million in debt or whatever it was. So that's happening on a day-to-day basis. So success can be fleeting, and that's why we've got to be really focused on the fundamentals, on risk management, on the way that we operate the business.
So, just thinking about that. I see a lot of new and food in hospitality is an easy target, an easy way to measure it. You know, so we're talking about 5-star, Michelin star or hatted restaurants. A lot of burger joints open up around the place, and when they open up, they are amazing. There's a new one in Sydney at the moment. Oh, it looks amazing. And the burgers, what do they call them? Smash the burgers, and the buns.
Again, you're making me hungry. So we've got balloon to burgers. I think it's almost lunchtime.
I've seen this cyclical thing happen now, and it's happening here in Brisbane, where these guys start up and they've got a great brand and great following, and it's really good. And their attention to detail is what gets them to that point. Instagrammers and everyone else go there and say it's amazing. But after a while they grow and they open another couple of stores, and they're not able to maintain that same standard. And they're trying to duplicate and get extra people on board, and they're not training them as well, and they're not paying attention to all the little nuances. So now the floor's clean and the beef isn't as good. And pretty soon you end up with a burger that looks nothing like the original one. And all the people are going there and go, oh, you know what? Something better down the road. Have you seen this happen?
I have got a 1-star review online. I can show you. I'm not going to mention the brand. For a brand that have premium burgers, and I've left them a 1-star review because that burger was just one of the most horrible burgers I've ever had. And it was, the bun was burnt. The patty that I got was not, it was just inedible. It was really no attention to detail. And so while the original store was fantastic and the brand was, they had this great concept and they pulled it off, what ends up happening is you're growing too fast. You don't have the right systems and processes, the right training. You haven't been selective enough with who's going to buy the franchise. If it's a franchise operation, you haven't controlled the process enough. And all of a sudden, you lose control and your brand devalues in the marketplace, not because you've done something wrong per se, but because the other people around you, they're just not as devoted to the brand.
And they don't respect the brand.
That's right.
They don't respect the process.
Good
like
word.
the bear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I see that happen a lot, right? And so the question is, maybe you're better off having one burger joint that has a line up there all day, like Ferg Burger in
I was going to
Queenstown.
say, who's the one that we can think of? Ferg in Queenstown. So if you've never been to Queenstown, or if you go to Queenstown, Ferg Burger.
Day and night, light up out the front.
Phenomenal burger. And there's only one. And I read an article where the owner's actually been approached quite a few times by investors saying, "Hey, we're getting
we
we're
wanna
going to give
open
you
up
money.
more."
We want to open up more." And he refuses because of that. Because of that stance that, you know what? I can control my brand. I can control the quality.
The attention to detail.
The attention to detail. And as a result, it's become an institution. You go to Queenstown. We were there for 4 weeks. Every time we went past, the line was constant, was consistent. We ate there probably 3 times. The burgers are fantastic. Value for money, worth the wait. Clever. And so what did they do in that business? Instead of it opening up more chains, Ferg Burgers took the concept of Ferg. They've now got the Ferg Pub. They've now got the Ferg Bakery. And they've got the Ferg Ice Cream. Now you go, okay, tick, tick, tick. And each one has a specific focus on quality that maintains the whole Ferg.
Yes. Because it's easier, right? It's almost impossible to have a Ferg Burger in every country at the same standard.
Correct.
It's almost impossible. But to have one amazing business where everyone from the world comes to you and lines up is probably better than having them on every street corner and trying to maintain that standard and have people that work within that business have the respect for the brand to enable them to want to maintain that standard. You know, that's a really interesting thing, isn't it? So,
Well, it's the appeal of the luxury market. I mean, if we think about, okay, Louis Vuitton and you've got those handbags, like ultimately, and some people are going to hate me for saying this, but ultimately it's just a bag. Oh, it's just a bag. You put
with a label on it.
With a label on it. But here's the difference. You can go to Kmart and get the $20 bag, but they mass manufacture 100,000. You go to Louis Vuitton and you pay for a $20,000 bag. There's only 3 of them in the world.
Yeah.
That says something. And so there can be value in not growing aggressively, growing into this
that's right.
multi-chain, whatever it might be, burger joint, and controlling the process. But it all goes back to the fundamentals. What do you value in your business? And what do your fundamentals look like? What do the foundations look like? Can they support what you want to build?
Yeah. But to make Ferg Burger perform every day like a metronome, reliably in and out, well, that's another good hamburger brand, by the way, which hasn't expanded too much. But to perform at that consistent level, they must have great systems and routines. They must have great processes. They must have everybody knows what they're doing. You can't produce a line of people out the front all day, every day, unless you've got perfect processes and routines and systems, and everyone turning up to work and doing their job. Just like Learn.
There's actually the other element to it, and same with Learn. So again, looking at the restaurant business, it's not just what happens in the restaurant. It's also what relationships do you have with your suppliers. So Ferg would have great relationships with certain suppliers because you want to make sure, you can feed the people. You've got the supply chain.
You need that good lettuce. You need those beautiful tomatoes. You need that right
so
bread.
all of a sudden you go, okay, so that means that my business needs to be supported by suppliers that I want to work with, that'll work at my level, at my standards. And if they don't meet it, get rid of them.
Yep.
And it's not about let's find the cheapest lettuce supplier. It's about let's find the best fit for what we need, putting money aside, because the best fit will help you drive forward in the right direction.
Yep.
So I think we've explored the topic quite nicely, and I'm just mindful of taking up too much time for the listeners and the viewers.
Well, they want to go and watch the bear now.
They do, don't they? But do that while you're eating a Loon croissant, while you're planning your trip to Queenstown for Ferg Burgers. And by the way, Loon croissants, Ferg Burgers, feel free to send us some samples.
Yeah, that's right. We can cut the line.
Absolutely. But look, what would you say is the takeaway message that we want business owners listening and watching this video podcast today? What's the takeaway message?
I think we'll both have different ones, but for me it is just check out that Socrates quote about excellence being your pursuit, and to create excellence it's about having a great routine and good habits. And there's a lot of successful people lately who are really into this healthy habits or good habits sort of way of thinking about their life. And it's such a powerful thing to improve your habits. You brush your teeth before you go to bed, good habit, and you just compound and build up all on good habits. So have a look at that Socrates thing. It could be really interesting.
There's a book, I think it's called The Power of Habits, that talks about and really discusses habits from a psychology and mindset point of view and what a habit is. So anyone that's interested in this topic, read that book.
Yep.
And perhaps in a future episode we can talk about habits and how to form them and all that sort of stuff. But my take on today, agree with what you're saying, Bruce, and probably the thing that I would say to business owners is fundamentals. Fundamentals. Build the right foundations, forget the pretty butterflies. Make sure you've got the right foundations, then we can talk about the pretty butterflies, because then the butterflies actually turn into an asset and a proper tool that you can use and grow into those tools. So,
We're done?
we're done. Last thing I'll say is if you're looking to buy or sell a business, talk to Benchmark Business Sales. And if you're looking for the best business advisors to join your team and work with you and your team on addressing your challenges, working on your opportunities, and really helping you build a valuable business that is easier to sell, then talk to us at Benchmark Business
Advisory.
There's my little plug.
That's what, because I think what people don't appreciate is what a low-cost option the business advisory offer is.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are thinking it's going to cost them $20, $50, $80, $100,000.
No.
And we didn't establish that part of our business to make money. We established that part of our business to help people.
Absolutely. And then it's all about help. Whether you're a startup, whether you're a micro turning over $200,000, there's a solution out there. Yeah, for some businesses, they need to invest heavier, but the investment is always tied to a return on the investment and making sure that the benefit is there. And we don't just take on the work because, we want to make money. It's about how can we help? How can we assist business owners out there build better businesses? Because that helps society.
Well, you want to be we're a Ferg burger. We don't want to have everywhere and lower the standard. We want to have a great result for everyone.
100% agreed. Thanks, Bruce.
All right, good ad there, Pete. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.